A Garfield Heights chase ending in a fiery crash that led to all those backups yesterday on I-77.
Breaking news right here yesterday, and now we're getting a closer look at the crash through body cam video. 19
data journalist Jeff Slauson has looked through the video. He's breaking it down for us and showing us more.
Newburgh Heights police releasing this for us, body cam, dash cam. It's intense. We're not going to show all of it, and not nearly all of it. We're not going to show you the result of the person that was driving the car. He was wanted in a homicide investigation, but the crash itself is pretty tough to see. What I'm going to show you, though, is the car on its side here. This is when officers are pulling up to it. You're going to see there's some officers behind it, but that right there is a Jeep SUV. Again, this crash was the result of a chase of a homicide investigation, but take a look at that. This is the Jeep on its side. Those are the flames right there. And progressively as this video goes on, again, I'm not going to show you all of it here just due to how very difficult it is to watch some parts of this. That flame really just takes over the entire vehicle. Now, the suspect is on the other side, crawling toward police, but he was not the only one that was involved in this. In fact, this crash ultimately started to lead to more people getting into accidents as well. Now, I've blurred the face of the woman that was involved in this, but what I want to show you here are the airbags on this side. The impact came from the other side, but her car was thrown into a median. That's how aggressive this chase actually was. What I'm going to show you right now is the body cam video where the chief speaks with one of the officers. He explains how this all went down pretty well.
She got hit by the Jeep. The Jeep lost control, hit the wall right there.
Okay.
And then he got ejected. At some point, the Jeep kept rolling like another probably 100 yards.
Oh yeah, that thing
tried to roll. The female was inside as well. But she's fine. She got evaluated, so we took her into custody.
So 2 people taken into custody. From that, the driver was the homicide suspect, and then another person as well. That Jeep is estimated to have rolled 6 to 8 times before ultimately landing on its side and starting on fire. In addition to that, 3 people were hurt, still waiting on updates on their condition. Last we had heard, 1 was in critical, a couple of those were in stable condition, but a really scary scene, ultimately leading to that massive backup. And in the video earlier on, it showed the officers trying to get to that spot. Took them forever because of how tough traffic was. So to be able to get to the scene, to actually get the fire out, took like 15 or 20 minutes. A really awful scene, a really tough scene for many people that were involved, simply for just driving.